Welcome back to Death Metal Pug. I'm Pug of God. I want to be a rock star when I grow up. The purpose of this is to have fun and talk about music. If for some reason we can help out your band, project, or business, please reach out to us at deathmetalpug@gmail.com. Death Metal Pug does not have social media, and you should just go outside. I'd like to thank Baka Larson for being on last week's episode. We want to talk about Lamb of God today. We want to talk about one of the greatest underground metal concerts that you should go see, currently on tour right now. Real quick, Blackbraid dropped a 3-song EP titled Nocturnal Womb. 2 songs left over from the Blackbraid 3 album, as I understand it, last year. They also included an all-acoustic version with no vocals of Barefoot Ghost Dance on Blood-Soaked Soil. I'm always going to bring up anything Blackbraid does because I love it. I was able to catch another show at Reggie's last Thursday night. Underground, grimy, of the grime kind of concert. Overall takeaways, these bands are better live. Go see live music. It makes a difference. It makes an impact. You really feel it. I kind of equate this to going to see basketball or hockey or something live. It's just so much more passionate in person to kind of view it. Race cars are this way as well. Seeing race cars live is, you feel it, you smell it, you hear it. It just makes it so much better. Go see them. That night on this particular tour, this big underground tour, drummers stole the show, and you'll find out why in a minute when I kind of go through each band. Chicago band Hell Is Real opened up the night. I was not aware of this band, to be honest with you. I'd not heard of them. Nice guys at the merch booth for sure. Check this out. So hopefully you can kind of see what they're getting at there with this particular sticker. I thought that was kind of clever. The vocalist had on a 90s style Typo Negative shirt on. He said he got it in Japan and not in the 90s. Kind of when I saw it, the albums back then. Hell Is Real, the band has a demo out, and there's a sign on the front of that I think we've all seen off of I-80 or in the South or something too. Their first full length came out in 2024 titled Scared of the World. I like it, and I think you should check it out too. I understand the band members were in other area metal bands prior, per a seemingly knowledgeable random dude in the pit that night. If you know the band's backstory, would you pop it in the comments for me? I'd be interested in that. I was happy to find out about the Chicago band Hell Is Real. Melting Rot was next. Melting Rot had some committed headbanging from folks going on, some pit circling people on hand, grind, death grind kind of band. 3-piece was a guitarist, vocalist, and drummer. Heavy bar chord guitar that just filled the room with sound. Big vocals, loud, up front at the show. I like their sound a lot better live than on the albums by far. Now, I have heard all of their stuff, the demo, the last full length that came out. Their last full length was a 11-song, 16-minute debut album, and the song I like best on that was probably Thrown to the Shredder, the best. Thrown to the Shredder. But there's all kinds of good little blasty, grindy songs on that thing. No matter what you think about the album, when you hear it live, the vocals are very, very loud and a huge part of this band. The guitarists look like Kurt Ballew's much younger brother, I thought. I spoke with this guy, Brian, I think the name was, at Merch. An amazingly charismatic, well-spoken, articulate person. in my opinion. I asked a few quick questions and his responses just exceeded expectations by far. Get this guy on some more shows or videos promoting this band, because he will be awesome doing that stuff. I asked about the new singles that came out on their upcoming new album. The two new released songs were longer songs for them in the fact that they were over 2 minutes in length. Their last album, Blood Delusions, for example, I referenced earlier, 11 songs on that thing, 16 minutes long, so you can kind of do the math on that. Now, Brian said that the released songs that came out, the singles here, were the longer ones on the album. I think he said there were songs 3 and 8 on the new album. Bandcamp and stuff says they're from Aurora, Illinois. He indicated they have first had rehearsal space in Aurora, so that's how they kind of ended up being from Aurora. But the three of them just live around the Chicagoland area, and they're not like based out of that particular town or anything, right? The guitarist is like the Jimmy Page of grindcore, just so smooth up there, just pumping out those bar chord jams. The peeps, the audience felt it. Hell's Headbangers might be onto something here. A knowledgeable dude in the crowd said the vocalist's other band was called Organ Failure, and he liked that band better. I listened to it on the drive home. It is some really sick grind kind of music. The drummer in Melting Rot is also in Molder, the band Molder. He had a simple kit up on stage tonight and just blasted away through the entire set. So much better live again. After seeing them and meeting the guitarist, I have so much more respect for that band. It just isn't like the cliche like dummy cavemen just cranking this stuff out. It is thought through, and coming from at least one of the members, rather intelligent person. I did grab the new album Infatuation with Premeditation on cassette. I grabbed the cassette because that's what they had as of early March here. When we're recording this, when the concert was March 5th in Chicago. No CDs or like records were in just yet for it, so just kind of take a look. This is the new album. The thing that kind of struck me as funny or interesting about this is how it notes like it says same program on both sides of this. So I thought same program on both sides. So like basically the album fits into one side of the cassette. Just kind of show this off, I guess. So this is hot off the presses, brand new, only cassettes available. The sound on this new one is fatter, I'd say, thicker, deeper. The new album was available in this format only, so that's why I got this particular format for Melting Rot. Blood Monolith was next, and this is the band that got me out of the house. I know Blood Monolith's 2025, the Calling of Fire album, I almost had it in my top metal album video. I couldn't find a way to like work it in, and objectively it wasn't one of my top 10 most listened to albums that year, but I wanted to like, it was right on the line, right? It was like, it was one of the ones that were just, if the video was a little longer, I had more picks, this one would have been one of them. Check out my top 25 albums of 2025 video. I hope this is embarrassing, but I could not recognize most of the songs that night from Blood Monolith, but I think they were absolutely great. I don't know if it's because I needed more time with the album or something was off with me or something, but it is still really aggressive, complex music. Different sounding live than the album, I felt a little bit, but still really good. It is angry music live as well. The album is vicious with harsh vocals and gritty guitars and everything. Comparisons to this band, I think they do have a unique sound, but maybe Christian, Outer Heaven, and that could just be the guitarist that's kind of giving me those Outer Heaven vibes, if you will. Barky death metal vocals delivered while playing guitar. Impressive two-guitarist metal music. The song Slaughter Garden was cool. I like the tapping that starts at the beginning of that song. That song is the second to last one on the album, and don't skip it. You could even like start the album from that track because the final song on that album is really cool as well. I was able to talk to the vocalist at the merch booth. He was there. He noted it was Blood Monolith's first time playing in Chicago and 11th time playing overall ever. Blood Monolith's 11th show ever. That's kind of exciting, and I was glad I went, you know. The lead guitarist in Blood Monolith, as I understand it, plays bass in Undeath as well. So that's kind of like an interesting tidbit there. I don't usually buy shirts because like I'm out of space and, you know, I just don't have anywhere to put them, like that kind of thing. But during Melting Rot's set, half a beer that I was holding got destroyed. I got destroyed when the pit opened up, and I got pushed from behind, and whole like half a beer just slopped onto my sweet white Revocation long sleeve shirt that I had. So I needed to change, and I went to Blood Monolith to get a new long sleeve to, you know, be dry for the concert again. Jarhead Fertilizer headlined the show. This is a flyer that was sitting out at the concert for the Black Circle location. I believe that is in Indianapolis. Do you know this headlining band, Jarhead Fertilizer? It's kind of like a more death metal Full of Hell is what I'd kind of say. If you're into Full of Hell, I'd definitely check out this band. They've got grind parts, death metal parts, sometimes heavy and other times like really slow, but then like switching back to like blistering fast speeds as well. Now in this band, it's kind of interesting. The drummer is the main vocalist for this band. The two guitarists add vocals once in a while too. Not just from looks, but from a few words spoken in Spanish to the crowd. I believe the drummer comes from a Latino or Hispanic background. There were always a few loud cheers in the crowd when he did that. They have a very distinct bass sound that comes across both on the album and it comes across live as well. You know, it tends to be like a big part of like the music to a degree. Jarhead Fertilizer to me have kind of a distinct sound, which is hard to do nowadays. Most of the bands that night did a pretty good job at distinguishing themselves from one another, while all being lumped into like a death metal, death grindcore kind of label or type of music to them. The guitarist had a Fetus shirt on in this band, and the bass player, noted earlier, had an Antichrist Siege Machine shirt on. The other guitarist, I didn't recognize the shirt that he was wearing up on stage there. The drummer and vocalist is an absolute maniac behind the kit. He is the director of the show. He is the frontman, right? But also the drummer. Jarhead Fertilizer. I've listened to the last two Jarhead Fertilizer albums as they have been released. Products in My Environment came out in February of 2021, and that would have probably been the first time I heard of this band. There's a few things from 2014 and 2015 I don't quite understand the story on with this band, but they're built into like the music apps and things. I feel like maybe there was a big gap before they had like a full-length album or something like that. Some of the old stuff is built up in kind of a mathy-core kind of element to it, more screamy, like I got Every Time I Die kind of vibes than where they're at today. There's a prior old album, The Purge. It's 8 tracks, it's 6 minutes long, and it's like blasty grind most of the time. The track Stomach Pumped is 29 seconds, for example. Bandcamp has the 4th album and EP, so check it out in there. So WTF is Jarhead Fertilizer. I'd kind of call it like a grindy death to doom band, maybe. They do whatever strikes them in the extreme metal universe, although black metal seems to never strike them as something to do. Politely prove me wrong in the comments if you disagree. This is kind of the second time I've seen them. I caught their set walking into a show one time. I think it was Sang with Suzabog and Frozen Soul. I think they opened up on that tour and back in 2021, I think. Back during like the vaccination card days. And I think we had to have masks on too. But I walked in while they were playing and caught most of the show from the very back, so I didn't really get a lot of good views or anything like that of it. And I think I actually missed I missed most of the songs that time. I never really returned to this Jarhead Fertilizer extreme music that often. Although when I turn the album on, I do like it. It's not catchy is an understatement. It's heavy stuff. Check out Jarhead Fertilizer. Also wanted to bring up Melting Rot is playing a show coming up with these other bands in Chicago, so take a peek at that. Jarhead this week finds him in Jamaica. Jeremy, probably not coincidentally, proudly showed off his sleep shirt next to a pot plant on this marijuana farm in Jamaica. Jamaica shots. Jamaica shots. Jamaica shots. So let's talk about Lamb of God. Lamb of God released a new album here, and it's one of many coming up, right? I'd say the last song I've enjoyed from Lamb of God was maybe like The Undertow or the number 6. The title of the song is The Number 6. The 2020 album I thought sounded bigger, at least, than the mellower stuff that came out since the Wrath album. I first got into Lamb of God pretty much like everyone else with 2003's As the Palaces Burn album. So I think in the metal community, this garnered a lot of interest, and this album came out. I think it was pretty successful right out the gate. So they did have an album before this under a Lamb of God name, and then they had an album that came out prior under a different band name called Burn the Priest. And actually from the music app, it kind of builds all this into the music app. And what I mean by that is it'll have the Burn the Priest stuff kind of layered in there with it, is what I can kind of see from it. This album, right? I think it was produced by Devin Townsend, and or excuse me, that might be the one after. Just incredible songs on this thing, right? Ruin, probably maybe the best song they ever created is the first song on this album. The drum fill is pretty famous in metal circles at this point. The vocals, the guitar riffs, just awesome. The title track is The Palaces Burn. The second song of this album is simply incredible. The fourth track on this album, on this album is called 11th Hour, and we find out, you know, this is about alcohol abuse, and this will become kind of a theme for the band, where they've had issues with alcoholism and getting sober and stuff like that. I'd also just point out that track 9, Blood Junkie, always kind of like that song off of this one as well. So yeah, this is a huge album. This is easily one of their best. As the Palaces Burn by Lamb of God. Then we have the what I think is the granddaddy of, you know, this, Ashes of the Weak. We'll start with the negatives, I guess. The criticism on this album was that it sounded a little too mechanical in how it was kind of created. It didn't have much of a live kind of feel to the album. I dropped it. Didn't have like a live feel to the album so much, and but the songs in here are simply incredible on this album. We got like kind of the inside and back of the CD here. So if when you heard this album and you listen back on the tracks, the first track, again, Laid to Rest, right? Probably one of the best songs they've ever written. I think that's hands down. That is a very interesting song that I think has a poetic interpretativeness to it. It's kind of like, forget everything, I'd like to lay this to rest, or I'm angry and we're gonna lay this situation to rest. Hourglass is a classic song. Track 3, it's hard to not say or hear in Randy's voice, now you've got something to die for. And, Faded Line, track 5, Omerta. The first time I heard that, when Randy comes in with that authoritative spoken vocal and they move into that, so the code of honor amongst knights and things, simply very impactful, for sure. That song, Omerta, is incredible. The whole album is fantastic, right? The title track on this, Ashes of the Wake, is actually an instrumental, but it kind of shows off each band member's playing ability and stuff. So it's always had some notoriety from that standpoint. I asked my producer to slip this in because I was too stupid to think of it when we recorded the original video. This is not a political channel, and I'm not looking for clickbait or anything like that. Ashes of the Wake was fundamentally a political anti-war album that expressed the anger, disillusionment, and moral outrage of the Iraq War and the George W. Bush administration. It expressed concern over the motivations behind the war, the moral ambiguity of modern combat, and the civilian casualties of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. I can't help but mention the fact that Ashes came out in 2004, and now in 2026, we are again in conflict with Iraq. Reasons to be there might be legit, unlike the catastrophic tragedy that was Bush's time, but controversy still remains. The president should have gone to Congress. This would have solidified the reasons why. No one trusts the president or the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War to execute this. Troll farms are just constantly used to message against us on social media. Redundant or similar messages brought upon us by social media mess up our perceptions and make us feel like something that's not true being repeated over and over is true. They could have outlined why we need to do this, and then representation through Congress would have approved this or not. We decide, not Israel. Ashes of the Wake, and more specifically, or more clearly, the title track kind of makes this point the best, but many of the songs on there are about this. Thank you, Randy and Lamb of God, for delivering this message. I'm sorry the rest of this video is so boring per my producer. I should have taken more time to think about the albums instead of just kind of rushing through it. But I felt coming off of when we recorded that versus when it would be aired a few days later versus the speed at which, you know, the new or current Iraq war in 2026 was progressing and happening, that is had to bring this up. Lamb of God's first album as well, with the song Black Label, is incredible. It's much more vicious, shorter songs than they went to go on and create later. Sacrament, Lamb of God's Sacrament album has to be like their best carefully orchestrated opus. I think they went into this very established now, this band. I think they went in very established and they set out to create a full album of incredibly impactful songs that were laid out very specifically on this. And this is like maybe their magnum opus, right? Overall, front to back. Ashes of the Wake, due to the just amazing ability of the, what I would call front half of that album, I would say, like, because the front half is just so freaking good, right? The front half of Ashes is so good that it kind of makes the rest of the album seem a little bit like, you know, of a drop-off, although the songs are really, really good, of course. On Sacrament, they avoided that because the majority of the songs are more like spread out. The opening track, Walk With Me in Hell, I didn't like that the first time I heard it. I thought it wasn't quite what I wanted to hear from Lamb of God, but I have completely come around on it. So the opening track is terrific. I think the big closer nowadays is track 3, Redneck. It has just a FU vibe. We're gonna take this down. I think everybody kind of gets that. It's also the moment where, like, it was like, oh my God, this is could be a natural successor to Pantera. You gotta understand, like, very big metal bands kind of drop down, and Lamb of God was always thought to be like maybe one of the ones who are going to step up. Now, to their credit, they never like got super soft or anything like that on their albums. They kind of like break into radio or anything. I don't think they're like a radio play band. They've always just been on the other side of like the heaviness where it was just too much. Other songs on this that are awesome: Foot to the Throat, and definitely track 7, Blacken the Cursed Sun. Maybe for me, it's a favorite of mine on the album, and one of the favorites of mine. I don't know if that is the case for like everybody else on Sacrament, but that is just a terrific album. The next one in their catalog was Wrath, and it looks like on this CD it came with a whole thing here. So it had like this outside, inside, like cover thing on it, and then this is the actual like CD booklet. So it carries all the same themes and stuff that existed on the album. I'm sure all of these were obtained like, you know, when it came out kind of thing. I was well into like, you know, death metal, black metal, all those kind of things at this point, but Lamb of God always did still hold my attention. I thought they were good, just like heavy songs, like just songs that were like, you know, just rockers, just straight ahead metal rockers. I always found appreciation for that. For sure. So the first track is a bit of an opening, and then you get In Your Words, track 2, track 3, Set to Fail, track 4, Contractor. Best moment on the album, right? So for me, tracks 3 and 4, Contractor, Set to Fail and then Contractor are like the best moments on this album. The drummer was finally like, hey guys, I want to make this thing my way. So what was that guy's name? Chris Adler. This is a very drummery album because the drums are like up front, heavy, hard and constant on this thing just turned way up. So I have seen Lamb of God live, and it was only one time. According to Googling around on the internet, Lamb of God toured with Killswitch Engage twice. Once in 2003, which I think when I looked up like the concerts and stuff, and this is just stuff I could pull down from the internet, it looked like they had Shadows Fall on that tour back in 2003. So that would have been a new wave of American heavy metal, like full on tour, right? Shadows Fall, Killswitch Engage, and Lamb of God. And that was like a generally accepted, like, these are the new metal bands in the early 2000s coming out of America and making a lot of waves. I have seen Shadows Fall, but I did not see Shadows Fall on that tour. So the other time they toured together, Killswitch Engage and Lamb of God, was in 2007. And that is the concert I believe I was at, because at that one, according to the internet, Devil Driver opened up for them. And I've seen Devil Driver probably like 4 or 5 times and like opening for bands and part of other concerts and things. And when I saw Shadows Fall, the reason I know it's 2007 with Killswitch Engage, when I saw Shadows Fall, I think it was like the year 2000 or right around there or something like that. And I saw it at a small bar in, coincidentally, Aurora, Illinois back in the day. And I believe that place was called Riley's Rock House. I would love to hear from somebody who's went to shows back in the day then. Probably just like a couple hundred capacity bar is what Riley's Rock House was. They would have death metal, extreme metal bands. And you can understand, like, it felt like the popularity of that stuff coming out of like the new metal peak was kind of at a low point, right? So at this Riley's Rock House, there's just a bar, right, set up, a small room. I saw like Fetus there for the first time at some point in like the year 2000, I believe, as well, or right early 2021, maybe, something like that. I saw Vader there a few times, or once around that same kind of time back then. It was yeah, Riley's Rock House, and Shadows Fall was there one time too. I remember specifically because I believe they closed their set with Motley Crue's Live Wire, which at the time kind of surprised me coming from the band. But at the same time, they were just kind of like, according to them, like showing their roots and where they come from. And that would probably kind of track with the age of the band and stuff like that. I understand Shadows Fall might be coming back around, you know, or having new albums and things. But yeah, if you know anything about Riley's Rock House in Aurora, would you mind letting me know? I'd love to kind of hear about that. Party on, Pug. I can understand why, like, stepping into metal in 2000 or a little bit after kind of felt like a little different nowadays, or as it gained back a little bit more popularity, it probably felt a little bit like, hey, I was here first kind of thing, like we all like to do when we see a new band coming up or something, right? I try to posture with that with Melting Rod here, you know, a couple minutes ago. So I could kind of see why people would feel a little bit like, you know, when the new batch of what they refer to as old school, like death metal bands have come out and gained a little bit of steam relative to the metal community, why people would be like, hey, you know, like, that's BS, like I was around for it. But some of us go back a little bit farther, so we're always happy to get new bands and see new things, and I put myself in that category. This new Lamb of God album, pretty hot sounding coming off the earbuds, and the new album is called Into Oblivion. Has a bit of a hot sound to it in the car, in the earbuds, that kind of thing. At least like 2 minutes of a child's voice isn't used to like kick this album off, you know. The opening title track, Into Oblivion, gets a little feel back for that like chuggy Lamb of God style guitar with the rhythmic kind of guitar chugs to it. So it has a lot of times, like, it feels like Lamb of God have like changed back to, instead of like trying to like move around, instead of like trying to like experiment and change and stuff, they're trying to like go back to sounding more like old Lamb of God, I guess I'll say, or now that they're old, old guys trying to sound like old Lamb of God, and I'll take it. I mean, Randy is still ticked off in the way the world works, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be, but Lamb of God have never been ones to give us like, oh, my girlfriend broke up with me kind of songs. They've usually been pretty angry, or definitely political as well. Randy is usually good for learning a new word on an album. This one for me is anodyne. Two meanings on this: a pain relieving drug, or what the song probably means is like something bland or inoffensive. So, you know, break out your thesaurus for the Lamb of God lyrics. I think on this album, maybe I like the track Blunt Force Blues the best on this new album, Into Oblivion. All of this just sounds like Lamb of God, and again, that's probably for the best. Big, crunchy guitars, fat, clean overall production, but the stank is on the guitars. Very upfront, the guitars are, as they should be on a Lamb of God album, along with the vocals on this one as well. The guitars are tuned low, crunchy, but not filthy, lacking that grime. It lacks that grimy as the Palace's Burn feel, or even like the Ashes of the Wake kind of guitar feel. And I think that's because they're turned up, crunched up, and maybe tuned down, maybe even a little bit lower from those albums back in the day. The high-pitched screams have been gone for a while, I think, on their albums. And I kind of get that, being an old guy myself, right? But the way like Randy has done some of his screams and things and his vocals have just been so notable in the past. It took until at least track 3 on this album for me to go like, what are we doing here? With the spoken word vocals that come up at the start of track 3. But that song, Septus, has a cool scream on it. So when it gets to that moment, it's like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I like that there were past varied albums with changed up parts and a few experiments, but take away any like deep cuts from, like, let's say Ashes of the Burn, Ashes of the Wake. If you take a deep cut like Break You, the song Break You from Ashes, it's still better than like any track on this album. So, you know, what am I trying to say? Some of the classic albums, like any song from there still, you know, is better than the songs that are on this one, right? And, you know, it just is the classic, like, you know, suffering from, like, you know, not as good as you used to be kind of thing. And that's okay. At least we have some new music here, right? Is this new album from Lamb of God or a return to the, you know, a return to the old days? Will I listen to this album again? Maybe. Is this the same Lamb of God? I'm hoping like a song or something would stick out to me from this album, but so far it's just not, I'm just not kind of getting there. So again, Party on Pug, that's it. The Little Boy.